Alright everybody, it's time for another year-end list. This is our 6th annual year-end list. So, as always, we're going to start with the 2020 movies we missed in 2020, but we saw in 2021. So, Aiden, what did we see in
Are you on top to bottom as usual?
Yeah.
Okay. Best thing of the year, best thing that we missed in 2020 was The Kid Detective. For basically everything we talk about here, we have drunk views up for it. Kid Detective, fun movie, fun little detective thing.
Solid detective movie. Next we had The Courier. I suppose The Courier we probably could have put on the 2021 list because it was released wide this year, but whatever. Basically just a little thriller starring Benedict Cumberbatch, and it was fairly solid.
After that, News of the World. It's a movie where Tom Hanks and a little girl stand around the desert. It's boring, but it's fine.
It was an interesting turn for Paul Greengrass. Paul Greengrass as Paul, he always gets stars. I don't know what. I guess he's just coasting off of the Bourne movies.
Yeah, I guess.
Next we have Psycho Gorman. Only I watched Psycho Gorman. It had its moments. The prosthetics were cool, but I found the children kind of annoying. I guess we didn't review it, so yeah, the children were kind of annoying. The effects were kind of cool. Overall, I could see how people would really like it. Didn't really connect with me personally, though.
And our lowest of the 2020 movies we missed is Monster Hunter. Really, enough said about that. It's easily one of the most dog shit movies of 2020, even if we're talking about it after the fact.
Right.
It sucks. It's
Seizure
really
inducing,
fucking bad.
It's boring, it's loud.
So that's our 2020 catch-up. So now we'll move on to the main event, the 2021 list. As always, we're going top to bottom so that we can laugh at the worst movies. Gunner?
Our favorite movie this year was The Green Knight. Just a very good fairy tale movie that goes through the story of a knight who needs to learn a lesson.
Second, No Time to Die. Very well made. I have some issues with it. Connor has a lot less issues with it. But I think generally agreeable to be a good movie, especially in a year that was a little rough.
Right. Well, I also thought it was a really good finale to the Daniel Craig story line, and overall it was just a very well made movie in my opinion. Next we have Wrath of Man, which was a remake of a French movie by Guy Ritchie. It's about a robbery of a cash depository. And yeah, it was pretty good.
Good description. Number 4 is Suicide Squad. The James Gunn one, obviously, not the other one.
One that came out 5 years
The
ago.
one that came out 5 years ago. You know, it's fun, it's violent, it's weird, it's a good time, you know.
Next we have Malignant, James Wan's newest film. Epic is a word I could use, like most James Wan films.
Malignant is so much fun.
Malignant is a lot of fun. It is a little bit messy, and by a little I mean quite messy when it comes to like just structure. But
I think that's the point.
but that's kind of the point. And overall, it was pretty good.
It's supposed to troll you into thinking it's like The Conjuring or something. It's funny. Anyway, number 6 is Nobody, a movie that nobody saw. Haha. It's a John Wick clone.
It's John Wick, yeah.
It's fun. It's fun.
Next, we have The French Dispatch. The French Dispatch was pretty polarizing for me. But I think ultimately it feels like 3 things that should have been expanded or shortened slightly. I just don't think Wes Anderson struck the right balance, and it was also probably the most Wes Anderson-y Wes Anderson movie,
It's beautifully
which
made, though.
makes it hit or miss. But it's very well done. It's just
Also messy.
messy.
Okay, number 8 is Judas and the Black Messiah. It's a biopic about the whole Black Panther movement and the, it's interesting. It's well shot. It's good.
Next, we have Batman: The Long Halloween. I liked Batman: The Long Halloween. It's an animated DC film. It's about the most accurate you can get Batman from the comic books in movie form, mostly because it was ripped directly from a comic book. And unlike most of these DC films, the art style wasn't entirely obnoxious. Each part came with a pretty fun animated film. So I would say once it rolls on HBO Max, if you're a Batman fan, even if you mostly stick to live action stuff, it is worth a watch.
Number 10, Spider-Man: Far From Home. It's cute. I like seeing Toby. I like seeing Willem Dafoe. I like seeing Andrew Garfield. It's also a Titanic mess, and we have a very long video going over why it is a Titanic mess. So yeah, it's a mixed bag.
Yeah, but still really good. Next is The Little Things. Jared Leto, Denzel Washington, mystery.
Yep. 12 is Shang-Chi. It's a functional Marvel movie.
Pretty functional. It has some cool moments that set it out.
Functional.
Set it aside from other Marvel movies, but it's still, is what it is. Next we have The New York Ninja. This is a movie put out by Vinegar Syndrome. Basically, they restored a loose, unedited footage with no audio, and they restored it, added audio, edited it together, and made a functional 80s B-movie out of essentially scraps they found in a bin. So, pretty cool movie, and it's actually pretty
it's
good
a
for a
neat
schlock
production.
movie anyways. Like, the martial arts is pretty good. There's a lot of weird and stilted shit in it, but like, considering everything, it's actually like a really entertaining watch. So if you get your hands on the Vinegar Syndrome release, which is running low at this point, I would recommend doing so.
Number 14 is Godzilla vs. Kong. It's really stupid, but it's kind of cool when the fights happen.
Yeah. That's pretty much like the most accurate description of Godzilla vs. Kong. Next we have Snake Eyes. Again, really stupid, but it's cool when the fight sequences happen. It really leaned into trying to start a cinematic universe, which probably is what is most egregious to it. Like, I actually don't think it's an entirely terrible G.I. Joe film, which is shocking. But the problem is it tries so hard to set up other shit when it should just be focusing on Snake Eyes and his story, which would make it leagues better.
16 is Raya and the Last Dragon. It's very well animated. I hate the dragon character.
Yeah, Aquafina was fairly
It
annoying
looks
in that
nice,
one.
and it probably could have, if the dragon was toned down, probably could have been pretty good. And it's still watchable.
Disney's Avatar.
Disney's Avatar.
Next we have Spiral. Chris Rock wanted to do the whole Saw thing, and that's what he did.
Number 18 is The Protege. It's another kind of John Wick movie, except it's really horny with old people in it. It's really horny old person John Wick with Michael Keaton.
Yeah, and Sam Jackson.
It borders on watchable. Is the review I'll give it.
Next we have Black Widow. Probably the most Marvel movie, like the most baseline Marvel movie ever. Like, there's nothing offensive to it, but nothing to it. The drama to the movie is okay, but most of the action set pieces are just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And between each set piece, it's just kind of boring. So, yeah.
Number 20 is Mortal Kombat. It is a boilerplate action movie. Some of the action's pretty alright, and a lot of it's really bad. Yeah, it's another video game movie.
Yep, and next we have Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard. The Hitman's Bodyguard was the most forgettable movie of whatever forgettable year it came out in. And Hitman's Bodyguard's wife's bodyguard, whatever, it's the same bullshit, except you have the swearing wife the entire time, which makes it not only forgettable, but also incredibly annoying. And the only thing I remember is how annoyed I was. So that's that.
Yeah, number 22 is Jungle Cruise. It's like Indiana Jones boiled down into a soulless Disney CGI cartoon thing that takes place mostly on a boat.
Or the African Queen, which is what the Jungle Cruise is based on.
True, but this one just kind of devolves in. Actually, it's more like Pirates of the Caribbean.
It is. It's Pirates of the Caribbean reskinned.
Yeah, it's a Pirates of the Caribbean reskin, but less fun than the first Pirates of the Caribbean.
But not very good, yeah.
Yeah, it's forgettable, bland.
Next we have Coming to America. Eddie Murphy returns to his Coming to America world. And I don't really remember the movie being funny or not funny. It just wasn't much of anything. I guess I'll do the next one too. I watched Justice Society World War II. It was a movie of epic proportions where they went back to World War II. Flash goes back to World War II and there's a bunch of superheroes and then they have to like fight together to stop the Nazis or whatever. It's really fucking stupid.
Alright. 25 is The Many Saints of Newark. It's like a dog shit boring crime movie that has like The Sopranos in it for 4 seconds, so they pretended it was a Sopranos movie.
There's, of course, the classic scene of Tony Soprano.
Yeah, little baby Tony Soprano meeting little the fucking, oh god. Yeah, it's got every scene you'd expect. It's the Star Wars prequels, but for Sopranos, where it's just a bunch of random bullshit that sucks. And then there's like 5 scenes where Tony Soprano's like, someday I'm gonna murder that kid. And there's a talking gravestone.
Is it talking gravestone?
It sucks. It makes me mad.
Next we have The Marksman, another classic Liam Neeson nothing action movie. This time he's at the border sniping Mexicans. And
yes.
Yeah, he was. That's what The Marksman was. He
You're
was,
right.
like
You're
the
right.
cartel. There's
I got
a little
mixed up for a
Mexican
second.
boy he has to save. And
I
then
forgot
he's-
that. I was thinking of the other Liam Neeson movie where
Right,
he's the.
that came out 2 months before this one.
Yes.
Easy mistake.
Number 27 is The King's Man. We reviewed this very recently. It's messy and not fun, and Hitler appears.
Hitler appears. Next we have Halloween Kills. Probably the messiest piece of shit on this list, other than the other messy pieces of shit that are on this list, but Halloween Kills is really bad. It's a bunch of people screaming
weird.
in a hospital and occasionally saying we're going after Michael Myers only to be killed. The only characters that are actually killed in a traditional sense are Big John and Little John,
The
who
best
were
characters.
amazing characters, and the only thing that's worth a damn in Halloween Kills.
Alright, 29 is The Matrix Resurrections, another one we talked about very recently. It's a Matrix sequel. Yep.
Yeah. Well, this one had
It's 30
potential. And
It's a
then
30-minute short film that has potential, and then it becomes a Matrix sequel.
Yeah, there's basically, you're right. There's a 30-minute short film at the start that has potential, and then they defy everything that they're trying to say with the 30-minute short film by doing everything that said 30-minute short film is trying to criticize, and then they just do all that shit.
Yeah.
Next is Venom, Let There Be Carnage. My God. The first Venom I thought was kind of watchable. I might be in the rare one of having that opinion. Let There Be Carnage is not. It's 90 minutes because it was so fucking horrible. I assume they just cut out like a half hour.
Yeah, there's something missing. A lot of something.
Cletus Cassidy is cringe. The story is rushed and stupid.
Woody Harrelson was the worst casting.
Woody Harrelson was horrible casting and was just all around cringe.
I think the biggest shame is that after the Venom 1 teaser where he had the Ronald McDonald wig on, someone said that's a bad idea, and it just didn't.
Yeah, that shit was funny.
Anyway, 31 is Willy's Wonderland. Nick Cage, Five Nights at Freddy's movie.
Nick Cage doesn't talk. He does Five Nights at Freddy's. There's a bunch of kids that try to save him, and then Five Nights at Freddy's happens. Next, we have Chaos Walking. Chaos Walking was an embarrassingly long delayed project by Lionsgate, the franchise-less studio. And they tried to
the Hunger Games.
Trying to recapture the Hunger Games with Daisy Ridley and Tom Holland, and they gave it their best shot, but what they ended up making was a huge pile of dog shit. It was annoying. The internal voice thing was annoying.
Such a stupid gimmick.
It's such a stupid gimmick. It's such a stupid idea. I could see how maybe it would work a little bit in book form, but it definitely does not work on the screen.
33 is Injustice, the animated movie. Fucking hideous movie. The Joker has like a mustache on his fucking nose, and I don't know what's going on. The art style's horrible. The story changes. Somehow they changed the story to make it even less functional than the story of the fighting video game. It's a mess. It's bad. It's not a good DC animated movie.
Yeah, it's pretty messy. Next we have F9. I fucking hate this movie with a passion. I think it's the worst Fast and Furious movie. They go to fucking space. They're jumping around the whole time. There's no plot. It's 3 hours long. Characters just show up out of nowhere to appear and then leave. It's bad. It's bad.
Number 35 is Zack Snyder's Justice League, aka the Snyder Cut. It's the same terrible movie, but this time it's 4 hours long. And in 4:3 in black and white.
No, it wasn't in black and white. They pussied out about that, but they did have a black and white version, which is cringe.
It's cringe. It's all cringe. Yeah, it's 4 hours. It's too much. It wasn't a good movie in the first place, and it did not get better by being 4 hours long.
No, it did not. Next, we have Ghostbusters Afterlife. The most pointless possible sequel to Ghostbusters you could possibly have. The kids are boring and do nothing the whole fucking time. Harold Ramis's ghost was both a little bit offensive and a little bit funny. But ultimately, it just ended up being a really bad movie.
Okay, next is 37, the only movie on this list that Connor has not seen, 8-Bit Christmas. 8-Bit Christmas is a remake of Christmas Story, where the kid gets the BB gun. Except instead he wants an NES. And because they couldn't afford good games, he just plays Paperboy. And he tries to get the NES, and then his dad's like, no, you can't have an NES. And then it turns out the real NES was the treehouse his dad built him along the way. And Neil Patrick Harris, he grows up into Neil Patrick Harris, unfortunately for him, because that means he has to be in Matrix Resurrections. But the point is, it's basically the most generic Christmas movie you could possibly imagine, with really cringy references to Paperboy and Rampage, because those are the two games they could license. And it's like, dude, the 80s nostalgia. Power Glove, remember that? It feels like a joke someone would make, like a fucking, not even like good AVGN, but like bad late era AVGN skit extended into an entire movie.
Yeah. Next we have Boogie. Boogie was a basketball movie starring Pop Smoke and some guy who was like 40, but they're like, you're like the coolest 16-year-old, dude, the smallest, youngest looking 16-year-old, and the guy looks like he fucking fought 6 tours in Iraq and got shot in the face and shit. He looked old and weathered. But the movie was horrible, boring, predictable, etc.
39 is The Eternals. It is the most dog shit boring superhero movie ever created. It genuinely feels like a Zack Snyder movie, somehow released under the Marvel branding. It looks weird. It's like 3.5 hours long, and there's like 8 trillion characters who all do nothing. We've complained about The Eternals a lot. It's not good. I do not like it. It might actually be worse than all of Zack Snyder's movies somehow.
Pretty much is a Zack Snyder movie. Next up, we have Tom and Jerry. Tom and Jerry was, there was an attempt. I mean, obviously we're not the target demographic, but it was lazy. The animation wasn't very good.
There's no violence.
There's no violence. Tom and Jerry team up. They did a team up thing. It's really vapid. It's boring. I don't know what to say.
In the old
about
Tom
it.
and Jerry cartoons, they were getting like decapitated and maimed and shot in the face and
This
cutting
one,
each
like
other's tails
Chloe's
off.
Grace needs her job or whatever.
That's when they like suckle each other's toes and whatever the fuck. Number 41, The Conjuring. The Devil Made Me Do It. It's The Conjuring 3. It's a demon movie.
Stupid, boring as hell. It's not scary, etc.
Yep. It is The Conjuring 3.
Next, we have The Forever Purge, a
Oh,
movie that has
yeah.
a message to say about former President Donald Trump. But also, it's really stupid and bad, and it coasted totally off of the message of, isn't it bad that Donald Trump accused Mexico of being bad?
The average porno is
The
shot
average
better
porno
than...
is shot and acted much better than this. It was really boring. It was short, but it felt long. It was preachy, but didn't have much to actually say. It was one of those.
43, and the lowest big corporation, big movie studio films. The worst big movie studio film on our list this year is Space Jam: A New Legacy.
What can one say?
What can one say?
The HBO Max sizzle reel.
It's basically a trailer for HBO Max that is 2 hours long.
And came to theaters, yeah.
They had to make it about epic video games because children like Fortnite.
Epic video games.
Even though children...
Every character that Warner Brothers owns appears.
Yeah, there's like a whole... Yeah, it's just a giant fucking WB commercial. It sucks.
It's a commercial.
It's not even a good commercial. Like Roger Rabbit or something. It's just miserable.
next we have Beguiled Company. This is a local filmmaker's film. We decided to put it under Space Jam because, to be honest, he made a 3-hour mess and it wasn't very good. But he gave it his best shot.
Yep, and then we had some awkward email interactions.
We had some awkward email interactions after he told us to check. After Grant Newkirk sent the guy the video, we had some awkward emails. But yeah.
Yeah. All right, number 45. Directly under that is another local film, The Diabolical Schemes of Thaddeus Jackson.
Shitting on the locals.
The Diabolical Schemes of Thaddeus Jackson is a ripoff of The Boys, but Black Lives Matter. It has...
But also, like, not good.
Yeah, it's just not good. It's really... And it has the effects of an irate gamer episode. Actually, that's kind of a disservice to the irate gamer. It uses a bunch of cheap After Effects shit. It's
all shot
barely legible. It's all shot on a 5-foot green screen.
It's shot like a cartoon.
Except for that
like
one scene where they blocked
flat.
traffic with their minivan.
Yeah.
Fucking Christ. Yeah, it's a rough watch. It's on Amazon if you want to.
Thaddeus Jackson, Amazon, check it out. Our final film is Buck Breaking. This is a movie about several people wanted to break down why the black man's become demasculated, and it's because they're all turning gay because of people having sex with their butts.
Yeah, so
and it's 2 hours of people rambling on random, just saying random crazy shit.
It's all tied
most of
together.
which is just homophobic.
There's the whole thing is Tariq Nasheed interviewed a bunch of people, and he's like, "You really hate gay people?" And they're like, "Yes." And then also one of them told this story about how slaves would be turned into crab people, which is really weird. It wasn't really connected to anything that happened in the movie. There's just like this 15-minute segment where they talk about how slaves would be like folded into crab people and forced to walk around like crabs, which is, I'm fairly certain, is just not true. But the whole thing is that after he got all these people to be like, "Yeah, I don't like gay people," he ties it together to Tariq Nasheed because he's gay with a bunch of fan art he commissioned of white men raping slaves to justify his fetish and explain that he's gay because his ancestors 300 years ago were raped or something. It's very bizarre. It's bizarre.
It's a rough watch.
It's 2 hours of insane nonsense.
Mostly trying to say, like, they kind of try to defend the movie within the movie by saying, like, you're racist if you disagree. But the whole thesis of the movie is how much the movie hates gay people, essentially.
Well, no, the thesis
it's not really about black rights or, like,
the thesis
real
is
history.
Tariq Nasheed is trying to justify why he's gay and blame it on the white man.
Is he literally gay? Or
Well, he doesn't say he is, but, yeah. I mean, what kind of man would spend, like, $7,000 commissioning images
several
incredibly high-quality paintings of
men getting butt? Yeah. Okay.
It definitely seems like it's just cope on his end, like he's in the closet and in denial about it.
Right.
And that's
probably not too
It's a pretty
far
common
off the
theory for
truth.
the thing. I don't know. I don't know the man. I've never met Tariq Nasheed. Hopefully I
Maybe
don't.
he's like the most manly of men. You know,
He's just worried about his fellow brothers becoming gay.
he's just worried about it. So he's like, I have to, for the greater good, I gotta
Yeah, it's some
commission this
shit.
drawing of a man getting pounded in the ass.
I also like
It's
how
like mentioning like pictures. Of
one of the
shots and
paintings
shit.
is so fucking funny. The one where the guy's doing the Home Alone scream while he's getting raped. It's so fucking weird.
It's fair.
It's such a weird movie.
Fucking.
I'll put the picture here. I'll obviously censor what I have to, but it's
The buck breaking.
it's really something. It is the schizophrenic ramblings of a gay black man.
Well, there's a lot of ramblings from a lot of different people, and they're all like
Yeah.
talking like they know what they're talking about, and then they'll just say the most absurd bullshit. Most of which is just about how much they hate gay people
Yeah.
and how like I don't know. Yeah, that's pretty much the movie.
How slaves would get folded into crab people and then be forced to crab race each other.
Could be true.
I can't prove that it didn't happen, but I don't think it did.
Can't prove it either way.
It's insane. It's
All
literally
right. Well,
insane.
we have one honorable mention. We had a hard time rating, so we just threw it off to the side. Dune.
Yep.
Dune was
Half a
half
movie.
of a movie, and as of such, we found it very hard to like
Half a
officially
movie that
grade.
didn't even have a guaranteed
and
ending
rank.
until like a week after.
Right now, we know there's gonna be an ending, but it does feel like something that we'll just have to rank on the 2023 list or whenever the fuck.
Yeah, we'll just have to loop back around.
We'll
to the
we'll have to just throw it in with part 2.
Yeah, I mean,
once part 2's out, we'll have a more complete picture. It's not like a trilogy, not like Lord of the Rings, where each part seems pretty definitive. This
no,
felt
this
kind
literally
of
just abruptly ends in the middle of the story and says
Basically.
there might be another.
Yep.
Maybe.
So we opted out of ranking Dune, but from what we've seen, it's pretty decent so far.
Yeah, I think it's pretty alright. It's a very good adaptation. Well, thanks for
That was
Another year.
2021.
we crossed 1,000. We are doing stuff.
Making
Let's
videos.
hope that 2022 has lots of Kino movies. I know there's a couple pieces of great Kino around the corner, like Wakanda Forever.
God, Wakanda Forever. Man. Wakanda Forever, it's gonna be a movie.